and Sinn Féin have 10 minutes.
Margaret Lascan Corla, and I'm sharing time with Deputies Mitchell and Ward. Minister, you said in your opening contribution here today, and you said exactly the same when you responded to the motion of no confidence in Minister Rowan Murphy, that the opposition, in your words, have come forward with bits and pieces of solutions, but there is no master plan, as you put it. And I think, on the one hand, it's patronising and it's also arrogant, because it suggests that this government has a master plan and has a strategy, when it's quite obvious to anybody out there who is in need of public and affordable housing that this government has failed, that Rebuilding Ireland has failed. And even when the Taoiseach and the Minister take to their feet, they acknowledge that we're not building enough homes, that there is a problem with supply. So to then put it back on the opposition that, in your view, we don't have a plan, but the government has this master plan, I think speaks volumes and is very arrogant. But you're wrong when you say we don't have a plan. And I've brought with me the plans that we have produced, just to educate you, to show you that we are busy in providing solutions. What is the true level of homelessness? I didn't interrupt you, Minister. Achieving energy efficiency in housing. A Part 8 proposal on social housing units in Deputy Ward and Deputy O'Brien's constituency. Reforming the private rented sector. Regulation of short-term letting platforms. Review of the tenant purchase scheme. A comprehensive alternative budget, which I'll go through in a second, which sets out actually what needs to happen, a much more ambitious plan than anything that you've proposed. One on Waterford, and a policy document on what's needed for my own constituency. And just in case all of that isn't enough, our housing spokesperson wrote a book on housing to set out for you the challenges and to set out for you the solutions. So I'll donate this to you as a Christmas present, and I hope that you read it, and I hope that you learn. I hope that you learn from it, because it's quite obvious to me that you haven't read any of the policy documents, any of the solutions which have been brought forward. And what you're trying to do here is complicate something that's very simple. You don't need big policy documents to state the obvious, that this state isn't building enough housing, that there are families that we all represent who can't afford to buy their own home because there isn't enough affordable homes. There are people, and we've said it, how many debates have we had in this chamber, and people are sick to death of politicians debating housing. Week after week, policy statements on housing. We need to build the bloody houses that people need. It's the government's job. You're nearly 8 years in government and you haven't done it. 8 years, and you keep using the excuse every time you come in, we need more time. We need more time. The people who need homes don't have the time. Their lives are passing them by. Children stuck in emergency accommodation, week after week, year after year. What Christmas will they have, Minister? We're lucky, we're fortunate. Any one of us here that has a home, and our kids have a proper home, they're lucky and they're fortunate. Many people do not. And that's who we are failing collectively. So you don't need big plans. You need to put the money behind building public and affordable housing once and for all. And as long as you don't do that, Minister, it is ideological. It is, because you and Fianna Fáil stopped building public housing, and you gave it over to developers and landlords. It's all Hap and Ross, and hundreds of millions, billions of euro being spent in the private rented sector, and very little, precious little, for public and affordable housing. And it's shameful. And you come in here then and you attack the opposition for putting forward solutions, and then say that we don't have them. I'm proud of our housing spokesperson and the work that he has done and the solutions that he has put forward. But I can tell you one thing, I do not have confidence in your minister, and I do not have confidence in your government, and I don't believe that we will have any solution to the housing crisis as long as you are in power and your party, or indeed Fianna Fáil for that matter.